Hello, I'm Wade Mitchell, and in this video, we'll cover IBM Cloud Transformation Advisor. We will recap Transformation Advisor's use case and how it fits in your portfolio to demonstrate how the tool is actually used, and then to show the deployment options that you have available to you in the platforms. Ultimately, our objective is to show how Transformation Advisor helps in assessing and modernizing Java applications, making it easier for developers and IT staff to quickly make modernization changes. Transformation Advisor was designed to help modernize Java enterprise applications and assist customers in moving toward Liberty and containerization. We do this by providing you with an assessment, providing you with enough of information to develop a strategic plan, and provide you outputs that will move you into the execution phase and let you get started on your migration. Transformation Advisor supports Java enterprise applications on a number of different servers. WebSphere Application Server 6.1 and later, WebLogic, JBoss, Tomcat. We have deprecated support for messaging and integration components that goes away in the next version. But the interfaces provided a web-based UI as well as APIs, which are in beta, and data collectors as well as a file upload for air-gapped systems and systems that are behind firewalls that are inaccessible. IBM looks at modernization in three different categories: simple, moderate, and complex applications. Applications without a lot of complex or moderate issues are candidates for containerization and easily move toward Liberty. Applications with a lot of moderate issues can find additional support with the WebSphere Application Migration tool, which will ease the migration. Applications with a lot of complex issues may be candidates for a rewrite. Those are traditionally monolithic applications that need to be completely updated. We'll cover how to get started by creating a workspace and deploy data collectors. We'll show a traditional WebSphere migration to Liberty. That will include several reports and results from the application analysis. It will also show us the migration support we have with Git repos and how to export a migration to a container. And then lastly, we'll talk about how a Tomcat application can be assessed with moving to Open Liberty. The demo will consist of the web UI for Transformation Advisor, WASMD 9.0.5, and a Tomcat instance, as well as the collection agent. This is Transformation Advisor's home screen. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice the menu that contains the version, and this is 3.2.1, released in July of 2022, and release notes. Additionally, you'll notice documentation and where to find us on Slack. IBM Transformation Advisor is about helping customers move to the cloud. So this is built as a cloud pack, and it runs in IBM Cloud if you so wish. We're going to start by creating an environment to assess a WAS9 migration path and to evaluate what that would look like for a move to Liberty. So let's start by creating a WAS9 workspace to hold our artifacts for the assessment. You'll notice that we have a page to download an agent that goes on our WAS server. We have a drop-down menu to select other workspaces, but our new environment has no data in it. You can see across the top of the screen we have a breadcrumb that shows us which workspace we're in and how we're working. You can also see that we have the option to create new workspaces. At the bottom of the screen, you'll notice an upload button that allows us to upload data directly from a server that may be air-gapped or behind a firewall. But for this demo, we'll deploy an agent to the WebSphere server, and that will make it much easier as it will upload the data directly into the workspace, allowing us to make our assessment. On the data collector screen, you'll notice we have our choice of operating systems, AIX, Solaris Windows, and ZOS. All the commands and instructions you need for the install are right here on one screen. You only need to copy and paste. Since Transformation Advisor supports more than one environment, we also support Oracle, Red Hat, JBoss, and Apache Tomcat. Notice that you can select application, application configuration, EAR files, or even binary. Here are the commands to launch the agent once you get it deployed. Let's download the agent, get started. Now these first commands will run from the workstation, and we're just going to copy the agent file from our local machine where we just downloaded it off to the server. These next commands you'll run from the server. You'll notice it's pretty simple. Let's check to see if our agent file is here, then we can start. And here we just unzip the file and untar it into the directory as instructed on the previous page. Here's the Transformation Advisor command that I'm using to gather everything from the node agent. As the agent deploys, we have to accept the license for it to move forward. As the agent scans the environment and collects the data, this will take a little bit of time. You'll notice this is a time-lapse video. Once the data has been successfully gathered and uploaded to the Transformation Advisor instance, you'll get a thank you message for uploading the data. You'll notice it highlighted here. If you didn't get this, then you'll need to find the data file and upload that with the upload option that we saw earlier. This can be found by traversing the directory where the agent collector was deployed. In this directory, you'll notice we have the app server 01.zip. This is the data that it collected from the app server. This file could be SCP'd over manually if need be. Now let's look at what data it has collected for us. You'll notice the message at the top of the page that shows that we've collected new data. And you'll notice our workspace now has information on it. After a moment where the Transformation Advisor makes the assessment, you'll notice that we can look at the collection that we want to see. There's our application server that we just scanned. Transformation Advisor can help you transform to Liberty or other WebSphere environments. These are the options that let us set how it reports on that migration. You'll notice that we have 3 different migration targets showing up. Across the top, you'll see that 4 applications were imported, along with an estimated days conversion for each target platform. So we have options and plans for each one. There are 3 concerns in the customer order app. As we scroll down, you'll see this is the case across these different platforms. Notice that this is a significant concern highlighted. So now let's focus on what a migration to Liberty would look like. Notice that as we unclick the other environments, we're left with just Liberty. Our average developer cost has now dropped to a half of a day. And the Java application panel only shows 4 applications with migration plans to Liberty. We'll talk about the export function later in this video. The estimated development cost can be adjusted under the Settings tab by increasing or decreasing the numbers, which will affect the hours and estimate counts throughout the workspace. There's a filter that will let you filter based on complexity of change. The column headings are all sortable. The sort and filter feature allows us to easily see where most of the work is. Now let's look at an individual application. We have two critical issues that must be addressed before this application can be modernized. We also have four minor issues that will need to be addressed. Again, we have filters to allow us to focus for larger applications and make the report easier to use. And we have time estimates for each issue that needs to be addressed. We're provided details on the jar file name as well as the line of code that it's in and how many times it occurred. Now let's take a look at the technology report. This report shows the two issues that we saw and how their technologies are supported against the different platforms. So this is telling us that there are supported solutions with minor code changes to close the modernization gaps in this application. So now let's go back and take a look at the inventory report. The application inventory report shows us that this application has one IR file containing an EJB jar. There's a navigation panel to navigate through the inventory report and see more details. Here's the IR file and what makes it up. You'll notice at the bottom we've got a visual that shows that the jar is contained. We're also breaking down some statistics of how that looks inside the application, as well as potential deployment problems. Now, let's go back and take a look at another application. The Customer Order Services app is a little closer to migration. So let's take a look at what the migration would look like with that. We have three non-critical issues. Pulling them up to take a look. We have a database constraint that needs to be updated so we get the proper JDBC connections. We have a J2EE security constraint and some EJB lookup specifics for Liberty. Since there's no major issues, we could try deploying this one through a Docker container if we wanted to. Here's all the specifics, but there's nothing that's critical. And you'll notice it tells us where we need to change our IR file, the actual jar file name, to update the JDBC connector. Now, what would a migration plan look like for us? Notice the export, and we can select the applications we want to export, and we can add them to a group if we want to, and do more than one app at a time. If there were any application updates, we could check for it right up here. We could poll the collector to do an update. Let's look at the migration. And Transformation Advisor gives us the option for source code or binary to be exported. Notice that we have our migration files, server.xml, JVM options, a pom.xml file if you need it, or even a Docker file. And so those are key things for moving straight to a Liberty container if you want to. If we want to send this to a Git repo, we have the options here to log in and to send the code to Git. If applications don't require major changes, this is a real fast path to getting something migrated into Liberty. Where it can be a turnkey migration, we do our best to make it that way. Now let's take a look at a Tomcat application and see what the migration artifacts look like for it. You'll notice we have the very same sort of artifacts for 6 different applications. The average migration cost is at 1.6 days. Total time estimate to migrate this app to any of the 3 platforms would be 10 days. But let's focus on Open Liberty for a moment and see what that looks like. And we see that the example war would take 9 days to migrate because it has some critical issues in it. But we can adjust that, and you notice that if it takes longer for a particular team due to resources or whatever, you'll notice that there we go, it's updated to 14 days. The important point here is that Transformation Advisor works the same for Tomcat applications as it does for WebSphere applications and the other platforms as well. So in the demo, we showed how to get started by creating workspaces and deploying data collectors. We showed how to migrate a traditional WebSphere application to Liberty. We looked at several reports and what you can do with artifacts coming out of the migration tool. And we showed what a migration for Tomcat would look like. We've demonstrated the value of Transformation Advisor in assisting Java developers and IT staff in migrating applications by showing how it can make the assessment easy, how it can help you plan on what you need for migrating it, and then help you to execute that migration by creating artifacts that are ready to use, reducing migration effort. The value of Transformation Advisor is in assisting in assessing and modernizing Java applications. We showed how it can make a good assessment, how it can help you plan on complexity of the application and what the requirements are, and then how it can speed the execution by delivering artifacts into repos and even creating containers where possible. Lastly, let's talk about some considerations for setup and install. The supported platforms are Open Container Platform 4.6 and 4.8 for the version in this demo. And to the right, you'll notice an architectural diagram of how the product actually works on the cloud. It's also supported in a non-cloud environment. If you want to install it locally, here's the configurations to consider in the hardware requirements. And last but not least, here are the hardware requirements for the data collectors. We're happy to provide free demonstrations or proof of concepts and garage workshops to help developer teams make this transition. Thank you for your time.